Hello there and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom Marshall. Thank you very much for watching. And what in the name that's all that's holy did I watch at the weekend? Oh my god. Calm yourself. Today we're going to look at Predator Badlands. Let's get into it. Okay, so the film is directed by Dan Trachtenberg and stars Elle Fanning as Thea, who is a synth android. The film starts off with two predators going hammer and tongs, fighting each other, full-on grudge match, and you have no idea who these people are to start with. You just know that there are predators and they're just really going at it, fighting over dominance and superiority, essentially just beating the living shit out of each other, bouncing off the walls, fighty fighty, swingy swingy, punchy punchy, and then the fight stops. Then you find out that these two predators are brothers, and they are from a race called the Yautja? Something like that, whatever the fuck they're called. And so they have names. The younger brother is called Deck, and the older brother is called Kwai. And so they have been challenging each other and fighting each other, and all for the right to basically have their first hunt, which is decided by their father, who is the clan leader of this race of predators. And so they meet up with their father after the fight, awaiting his verdict and what his choice is, whether or not it's Kwai that goes on to this first hunt, or is it Deck that goes for the hunt. And it is basically the survival of the fittest between the two of them. His father believes that the older brother is the strongest out of the two and effectively chooses the older brother and orders the older brother to kill Deck. Very Shakespearean, very sort of pubescent teenager, I'm angry at my father kind of deal going on. And Kwai doesn't want to kill his brother. And in an act of mercy, and a sacrifice to himself, he frees his brother from the shackles, throws him into his ship, and his father kills Kwai, which plants the seed for Deck's revenge. And so he gets blasted off after this family quarrel to a planet where they have the hardest, sort of most difficult prey to kill. And that is his final test. That will be his way to prove to his father that he is the strongest out of everyone in the clan, in the family, and basically try and survive on one of the most hostile planets in the universe. And so he goes down to the planet and realizes that it is very, very dangerous. Everything is there out to kill him. He has to survive. He has to use his training, his skills, his weaponry, which when he first arrives, he actually crash lands and loses a lot of his weaponry. So he has to sort of use his skill and cunning to try and get him out and try and kill this huge monster, which is essentially final boss mode for this predator clan to go and capture this most dangerous of kills. And that's essentially it. It's basically a story of survival in the most harshest of environments and a son's rite of passage to prove to his father that he is worthy and he is worthy of acceptance into the clan. There are rather a lot of issues with this film. Now, I usually like to find a few positives in there. So first of all, the scenery is amazing, even though it's all completely, probably 90% computer generated. and it's really, really sort of lush, sort of vast expanses that you see. No fault there. That's cool. Some of the action sequences are pretty decent, very kinetic, a lot of movement, a lot of, you know, fast camera actions, and yeah, a lot of information thrown at you all at once. Also, I think I was the only one to notice this in the cinema. I think what they did was they ended up going to the same waterfall location that they used for the first film. The waterfall, if you remember, that back in the 1987 film, Arnold Schwarzenegger jumps off to escape the Predator. And so I believe that is the same waterfall that they visit in this film as well, which is kind of neat, a nice little sort of callback there, which is great. And I think, fortunately, that's where the positives end, in my opinion. I feel that the problem with this film is it doesn't follow any of the traditional predator tropes. So the predator the predator species have a name, and also the predator itself has a name, which destroys any sort of mystique or myth about the predators right there and then. That was what's so good about the original film. Like, there was no information about them. It was literally this hunter killer who is on a hunt and is taking out people left and right using technology, using the skill from earlier hunts, and using the knowledge that he gained from those hunts, using the environment around him, using slow and methodical movements, slight tilt to the head, slight swinging, using the trees. Yeah, very completely different animal from something like 40 odd years ago. And I can see why they changed it. They're trying to appeal to the masses. They're trying to sort of appeal to like a more broader audience. So it doesn't really follow any of the predator tropes. Also, yeah, like I said, there's no mystique. I didn't feel fear or didn't feel any intimidation from the predator that they had. And I just didn't feel scared by it at all. The good thing about the Predator was, because I realise I'm talking about the Predator like it's a real thing, like it's an actual animal, like a thing that existed. And that was so good about how they depicted the Predator in the first film. It had that tangible access that, it could be taken as reality. It felt so real. And I just didn't feel any of that watching this. I also didn't like the fact that they Disneyfied it a lot. When he's going through his equipment, he pulls out like a really cool sword. Don't get me wrong, it looks really cool. On its own, it would have been fine, but they just had to add that little red tint around the edge of the blade, and it just, to me, just looks very Star Warsian. It looked like something from a completely different movie, and all his equipment all seemed very complicated as well. The equipment that the Predator used in the first film was very simple. All he had was a shoulder cannon, he had claws coming out of his hand, and that was essentially it. And then he had his night vision goggles and heat sensors that he would use to track his enemies. But with the Predator in this film, he just had all this clutter that he had with him, and these random ice grenades, and harpoon guns and all sorts, and it just seemed a bit too much. It needed to be, I think, in my opinion, more simplified than that. It's on a hunt. It needs to move and, move smoothly and quickly and not be detected. And by having all this on you, it's going to limit that. So I don't know. It felt all a bit too much. The story itself, don't necessarily have like a major issue with. It's the fact that they've reduced the Predator to what was shown on screen, and they did the same with the alien in Alien Earth, reducing it to like a pet dog. They seem to have taken what we feared so much in the 80s into something that is just something completely different. I don't know, but it's not the same animal at all whatsoever. And that's what I have issue with. The story and the Shakespearean family sort of thing going on in the background. I'm angry at my father. the sibling rivalry, all that I get, that's fine. And the android story of Elle Fanning, Thea, that's fine. I don't mind that. But the gripe I have is the fact that they really sort of, undermined what they did in the first film with the Predator. And it's just not the same animal altogether at all. I don't know who was responsible for it, but basically they didn't understand what it was. I don't think, which is frustrating because they had a great opportunity to make something really sort of small and intimate, but instead they had to like boost the budget, put loads of special effects in, and lots of action, lots of fighting, very little story. Team up with Android, a little weird pet thing that looks like a droid, or I don't know. They should have done something a lot smaller, reduced the budget, and maybe had it like a father son rite of passage first hunt story where it's just them two and you don't have them speak. This is my pitch. You don't have them speak. You have them using like hand signals or using whispers or clicks and whatever, and just have the writing, the subtitles underneath it to find out what they're saying, and have them going from one part of the jungle to another, and just make it smaller, reduce the budget, tighten it up a little bit, and then I don't know. It just really frustrated me that this is what they came up with. They had all this at their disposal, all this story that they could have used, but they didn't. They just churned it out and spat it out for the masses and made it what it is. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like hanging on to a past that just doesn't exist anymore. And this is what science fiction is now. Who knows? Anyway, let me know what you think of the Predator Badlands film and what your favourite Predator or Alien film is out of the whole series. And are you in agreement with myself that this film has very sort of destroyed any sort of mystique or myth about what the Predator is? Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Peace.